Bortle here, back from the LCS 5 event of the online format. We have here top 8 contestant Mount Fuji with his innovative Dragma Invoked deck. My goodness. So please introduce yourself, man. What's up?
Hey everybody, I'm Mount Fuji, the whole mountain. I got top 8 at the LCS. What was this, 5, Bortle? Do you know?
Yes, this was number 5 of the online
Right,
format.
right. So number 5 of the online format. I got top 8. I went X1 in Swiss. In top 8, I lost to a 25% chance. Literally just a luck chance where I have a 4-card hand and Chaos Dragon Legionnaire rips a card out of your hand at random, and it hit the one card that outs his whole board and kills him. And so I lost the match because of that. So
Oh man, 25%, 1 in 4. Would you like to do some shout outs or you want to just jump into it?
I guess there's one or two. First, shout out to Duelist Academy. They 4 people in their Discord chat, me included, topped the event, and one of them, 2 of them made it to the finals, and one obviously won.
Yo,
So
that's 50%. My goodness.
right, so if that's any indicator as to how good this service is and how beneficial it is to people, then I don't know what is. And then shout out to Tsujimura Ryosuke. He definitely helped work on the deck with me, and he's just helped me a lot, give me a lot of insight. The OCG gets these cards before we do, so he's able to kind of give me a lot of insight before they come over to America. So that's kind of how this all happened.
Oh wow, so you had loads of time to like test this out. That's pretty cool.
Right, right.
Sweet. Well, without further ado, take it away, man.
Okay, so I played Invoked. Dogmatika is its TCG name. And essentially what the deck is designed to do is take the first turn to summon an Alistair, stick a Mekaba, and then summon Ecclesia to basically tutor the trap card. And so you have a Mekaba for their follow-up, and you have the punishment, the trap card, to stop their normal summon. So it's a very 1-2 punch kind of deck. Really, really low to the ground. By the time you get to 5 summons, you already have Mekaba up, so it doesn't play into Nibiru or anything. The Invoked engine is not that big either. It's very, very small, so it allows me to play a lot of flexible cards, like as you can see. All right, so first 3 Alistair, the Invoker, just the Invoke monster. 3 Ash Blossom and Joyous Spring. This deck does play hand traps, again, very low to the ground. 1 copy of Dino Wrestler Pankratops. This deck has a very good knack for going second, so Pankratops are just really good. I wasn't sure how many people were playing Numeron, but this card is a very good instant way to deal with the Numeron board, in which if they have Zexal, you can just summon Pankratops on attack, right? And then if they use the field spell again, you just Pankratops and then destroy the field spell. So I tech 1 because you can only tech 1.
Did you face any Numerons, by the way?
I played 1,
Oh, wow.
and right, so I didn't get to draw Pankratops, but Pankratops I was also just good against backrow decks in general. I would definitely sided if I didn't main it. So then 3 Dogmatika Ecclesia, the Virtuous, and then 2 copies of Dogmatika Fleur de Lis. I didn't main deck any copies of Dogmatika Maximus, even though it's by far just one of the craziest cards out of the new set. Just based on what it does, because if you play against any Dogmatika mirror matches, they can just your effect with Dogmatika's essential effect is you as a Shadal card and you pop a card and it's super broken. That turns into basically destroy 2 cards on your side of the field and your opponent chooses, right? Because you activate Dogmatika, you activate Maximus, and then you send 2, and then they send 2 Entis, and then you're just looking really dumb, right? So I didn't want to run into that problem.
Looks like you were out playing the Megalith matchup too.
Yeah, so yes. I say that nervously as I don't know what the Megalith cards 100% do yet, but So okay, but yes, totally I was out playing them. That was all, we were always doing that. And then I played 3 Psyframe Gear Gamma and a driver to go with it. Again, just for the Numeron stuff, very, very good against Zexal, but also it's just good against combo decks. And a lot of people are playing Rock. A lot of people were playing the Infernoble Knight deck. It's a light for Mekaba. I mean, it just the invoked cards and Gamma have always just had great synergy with each other, right? So also very good post board in case people are siding like, Droll and Lockbird. Because if you start on Meltdown, then your turn ends. If you start on Alistair, you get to Mechaba, but then you can't use any of your Dogmatika cards, so your turn is basically over. So, really good against Droll as well. But I didn't see Droll against me at all in the tournament, so that didn't come up. So those are the monsters, 16 in total. Also, it's worth noting that I play Omega, so, but that never happened either. Right, so that's more in the weeds. So then for spell cards, I played 3 Called by the Grave. I'm actually going to read these 6 or these 9 altogether. 3 Called by the Grave, 3 Forbidden Droplet, and then if you look at the bottom, I played 3 Triple Tactics Talent. The idea behind that was I wasn't trying to spread my engine out too wide, where I was playing like Golden Lord and like the Golden Land cards. They're very well, the trap cards just aren't very good going second. Meanwhile, Eldritch, like the Golden Lord guy, is. But also, it would mean that, especially in siding, it would be very difficult to take cards out because all are so integral to the engine. So I didn't want to have my deck count incredibly high. Also, when I build decks, I like to have a very clear focus in mind. So I don't like to create like multiple win conditions that act in parallel. I am a big fan of, if my deck does have multiple ways to win, they act perpendicular, and so they intersect at many different points. The synergy is very important to creating a very cohesive strategy. So I definitely just wanted to streamline something like a Mechaba and then using the Dogmatika cards because Fleur-de-Lis, and I didn't really mention what their effects are, but I'm sure you guys know at this point because everybody's talking about this deck, because Ecclesia is a blonde girl. So so basically, with Fleur-de-Lis on the field, your Dogmatika cards attack for big numbers. Fleur-de-Lis, Ecclesia, and a Mechaba boosted by Alistair is 85. So, and then if you punishment, right, then that's how you like clear their board. So you just attack with all of them for game. So in that, I just wanted to make sure that I had a lot of very flexible cards that I could use to simplify the game enough to where I could just kill them on the next turn. But also Droplet and Tactics in particular were just very good going second. They get better as Dragon comes out, so the Red Eyes Dragoon, where and this is kind of why, I mean, maybe these ratios were a little off in the sense that I made too many Triple Tactics talent, but by the time we get to a point where everybody is summoning Red Eyes Dragoon, Tactics talent will probably be live every turn that you play, because every deck is going to be able to make Dragon, right? Even if you hand trap them, they summon 2 monsters, make Faraday Anaconda, and so they'll obviously negate something during your main phase, and then because of that, you'll be able to Tactics talent. And by the way, its take control effect doesn't target, so you can just take Dragoon, right? But even now, people are just playing combo decks, and so it's just very good to play back because I'm playing a very normal summon reliant deck in which I have to summon and resolve Alistair. Or if I don't do that, I get to use the Dogmatika cards, but then I can't use my extra deck. So negating the Dogmatika cards is a very safe move by my opponent because I can't follow up by like going into my extra deck. By that I mean like negating the effect, not the activation, obviously. But that's why I played all copies. The card I mentioned when I lost was Forbidden Droplet. I had a 4-card hand, and Droplet was one of the cards, and his Dragon Link deck summoned 2 interrupts only, and rather than FTKing you, and put a Buster Dragon on his guy, right? But Nadir, the spell card, which I'm about to get to, can send Entis without going into your extra deck, so he just would have gotten destroyed. But again, he hit Droplet, and it was a good match. Otherwise, it was fun, and I had a very good tournament. Otherwise, so everyone was super chill that I played, except for like one guy who was playing a mirror. He was a little uppity, but you know how it is. Can't really be uppity with a mountain, right?
That's true. And you did state the fact that you need Alistair to resolve. Did anyone like snipe your Alistair with like a Gamma themselves?
Yeah. That happened. That happened once. That's actually kind of brutal. And this deck in particular, while normally Gamma wouldn't be that good, it's like an Alistair, because you need an extra deck monster face up on your side of the field. turn 0, like basically turn 1, to some of the Dogmatika cards. Gamma is a little more brutal against Alistair, so you really do need Alistair to like resolve. And if you don't, then that's, I mean, you have like tactics to hopefully, if you have a follow-up play, you can like rip a card out of their hand, or you can draw 2 to get to your next play. You know, you could play like something like Pot of Desires. I don't like Pot of Desires though, because you have to change your ratios of cards in order to make use of 3 Pot of Desires. So, and you're not playing less than 3. That's ridiculous. So, because then when you, if you open a hand where you don't have Pot of Desires, but you have all these wonky ratios that facilitate Pot of Desires, then your deck is just really bad, right? So I didn't want to run into those games where I just don't see Pot of Desires at all. Also, again, just tactics it just has 3 effects, right? So yeah. So I played those 9. Pretty good all in all. One last thing to know. I know this is kind of long-winded in just these 9, but Droplet's new, right? So a lot of people don't know this. A lot of people question the fact that I didn't play Eldritch cards. So what am I discarding out of my hand to essentially make Droplet good and not a neg? But Alistair adds on summon, and Ecclesia adds on summon, and you can send from your field. So it's actually just not that bad at all, actually. It's actually really good in this deck, especially because you have Alistair in your grave, then it's prime for Invocation. You can use it. You know, I mean, it's so Droplet was really, really good in this deck. So I actually really enjoy playing 3 of that. 3 tactics right now. Not sure. Dragoon comes out, definitely. So those 9. Then I played 3 Meltdown and 2 Invocation and a Terraforming. You know, I didn't want to see Invocation without Alistair. That just doesn't make sense. So I didn't play the Link Monster, the Alistair Link Monster. So 3 Invocation really didn't make sense. So that's the ratio on that. That's the reasoning. And then 3 Nadir. Shout out to Farfa Yugioh. This card is what kind of ties the whole thing together. I'm not maining Maximus, but you can see in my extra deck I still have the Shadal package, and a lot of people were like, well, if you're not maining Maximus, why are you playing the Shadals? And I'm like, well, I guess you just haven't read Nadir, right? So Nadir can send App Clone, add Schism, and then you don't actually have to discard Schism. I don't know why everyone thought you have to discard Schism, but you can actually just discard Alistair, and that's a Dark and a Shadal in your grave for Winda. So you open, it's literally like Tarot Top Takitomborg between Schism and Nadir, where I play basically 3 Tarot Top to do the Winda play, and then they lose the game instantly. So it didn't matter that I wasn't maining Maximus. It was still really, really good. And then for the trap cards, I played 2 Dogmatika Punishment, 3 Infinite Impermanence, and the Shadal I'm done.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think this ratio was fine. However, I really found myself, there are some games where you just don't really draw playable. That's just kind of how this deck is, where if you don't see Alistair, it gets really hard. If you don't see Alistair or Ecclesia, excuse me, or Nadir, right? And those games happen sometimes. I mean, I'm playing a lot of flex cards, so I really wanted, but Dogmatika Punishment is actually a way to buy you a turn, and it kind of unbricks your hand in sending Titaniclad. So I actually wish I played a 3rd one, and I missed it very, very much. So that's a potential change. Imperm, Hand Trap, and then Schism for the Winda thing.
Well, it's I guess it's no secret here. You prefer to go second, so you had the 9 hand traps to back it up.
Right. Okay. I guess I better say this now. I actually just went first every time, but I lost every roll except one. At first, I actually thought it might be better to go second, but that's suicide. So, but one thing cool about the Dogmatika cards is because they attack for such big numbers, and because they can search a trap card at the same time, it almost reminded me of a Mech Knight deck that could go first, and that was just what turned me off about Mech Knights. Was as good as they were going second, they were really bad going first, and they really were dependent on how your opponent played. Whereas the Dogmatika cards don't really worry about that. Again, very streamlined game plan. So. But the hand traps certainly help, because there are hands where you only open one or the other engine. And so it's better to open just the Dogmatika engine over the Invoked engine for sure. But the hand traps smooth it out, right? Like they make it, they draw the game out a little longer, allowing you to draw out of your bad hand into a better hand. And then this deck is very good at taking the game back, right? It's also, again, very good at going second. So, when I did go second, it wasn't awful, and that's another thing I really loved about the deck. So, but for the record, I went first every time. So, should I do extra or side, Bortle? What do you?
Oh, you can do extra. It's all good.
You got it. Okay, it is all good. So, for the Shadals, I only played 3. I played App Cologne, Construct, Winda. Winda's the one you summon. If I have Maximus in my deck, then I'll want to have Construct, because I'm gonna discard Schism after I add it off of App Cologne. But otherwise, you don't. I mean, it's not. Yeah, but one cool interaction is that all the Dogmatika cards are light. So if they have like, if you don't have a dark monster for whatever reason, you have Schism. They have and you have Apclone in your grave, and they have a light monster they summon. Schism also has the added bonus of sending a monster to the grave with the same attributes. In this case, light, right? So, and when you summon Winda, you send a dark, right? So, and you know where it may come up once every 100 or so games, at least in tournament that it come up. And then Apclone's deserts the Schism. Then after that, I played 2 Entis. I didn't play 3. I just, you don't need 3. The card's really good with Maximus and Nadir. I mean, the interaction's pretty self-explanatory. I only played 3 Invoked fusions. I played Invoked Purgatrio, Invoked Mechaba, and Agla. And I only played 1 of each because you actually don't summon, you don't summon Mechaba twice, ever. You never link it away. And again, game plan super solid. Stick a Mechaba, set punishment, then on the next turn you kill them. That's it. I mean, there's no. And then there was one question that a lot of people brought up to me, and they said, well, why don't you just summon another Mechaba on your next turn? Well, if you play Dogmatika Punishment, you'll read at the very bottom, you actually can't summon from your extra deck until the end of your next turn. So you couldn't summon the second Mechaba anyway. So it wasn't ever coming up, right, in that strategy where I'd set punishment and then have a Mechaba because locked out, right? So I only needed 1 of each. Never, ever missed another one. This was totally fine. The Invoked Agla is just really good with Entis and Windas and Apclones and Constructs and all the fusion monsters because it just attacks for a huge number, right? So going second, you just kill them with it. And then I played 1 Titaniclad. I missed the second one a lot. Some people played 2. I played 1. Really didn't like it. I cut 1 last minute for a Cyber Dragon Nova. This was an Aaron McInnes idea, and it was by far one of the worst ideas I ever put into my deck. Never came up. Nobody was maining Maximus or even siding it. But when you use Maximus or Nadir, you can't summon from your extra deck. So if you send Nova, you can't summon Mechaba. So, yeah, it was just really, I don't know why I included that. I wish I played 2 Titaniclad because it means that Dogmatika Punishment becomes a consistency card too. So that's really cool. And then for Synchros, I played Psyframe Lord Omega because it recycles your extra deck cards, when you send it. And then I played Wind Pegasus Adagnister. This card is good for a couple reasons. First reason is if you ever do side in Maximus and they send Entis, one of the cards you send is Wind Pegasus Adagnister, so at least when they destroy a card, you get to shuffle a card back. So it's not like the end of the world sometimes. Another good interaction is with Block Dragon, where this deck actually doesn't have a lot of outs to it that don't trigger it. So I didn't want to trigger Block Dragon, and as a result, I'd rather shuffle it back. That came up against Rock. And I know you're thinking they have to destroy a card, so they just don't have to play into it. Well, by the way, you can, I don't know if you guys knew this, but you can actually switch your cards into attack position and ram them. So, this card was really, really good. I really, really liked it. Do not regret playing it. Nova sucks. Nightmare Phoenix never came up. Probably would cut it. I just played it just in case. There's a cool interaction where if anyone's playing a skill drain deck, even though skill drain's at 1, you can summon Phoenix, activate the effect, and then chain Droplet. And then it removes Phoenix from the field, and that destroys the skill drain. So didn't come up, but that was an interaction. Then Almirage and Secure Gardena for the Invoked play. But also when you have Maximus in your deck, if you open Nadir plus Mechaba, you need to banish the Almirage for Maximus. Yeah, so there's that. And then side deck, so 2 Lancia and 2 Droll for the mirror. And I wasn't sure if Droll was good against other combo decks. It's definitely not good against Adamantipator. I think it's kind of good against some hands that the Infernoble Knight deck has, but very, very good in the mirror for the reasons I mentioned earlier. Lancia, obviously, great against the mirror. 3 Maximus. Any deck that's not playing Dogmatika, I just put them in because I didn't think I had to worry about Entis or dumb stuff happening. And because I only played against 1 Dogmatika deck in the tournament, they came in pretty much every match. So glad I didn't main them, though, because I would have looked real dumb if I played against a Dogmatika deck. That would have just been really stupid.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and then so for back row removal, 3 Cosmic Cyclone, 2 Lightning Storm. Just Eldritch, I guess. Or Altergeist, or if anyone was playing a dumb deck. And then the last card, which I think is the best card in the format.
Oh, really?
Yeah. It's just broken. It's literally, this card is crazy. Ice Dragon's Prison. This goes in pretty much against Eldritch and Infernoble Knight. but it could. I mean, there's so many applications for it against so many different decks. I'd even consider maining a copy or two, right? Maybe playing like 2 copies and a trap trick, shout to Bortle.
Oh
Um,
god, yes.
right? But it's this card is crazy. The Eldritch matchup, which in theory seems very difficult. I mean, now it just got so much. It got put on easy mode. If they ever summon more than one Golden Lord, and then that goes to the graveyard ever, they lose 2 Golden Lords. I mean, that's it. It just outs Gearfried instantly. Because Gearfried, even if it can't be targeted, this card doesn't target when it banishes. So you reborn one of their guys back, banish both. See ya. So you could do it on like Roland and stuff. I mean, the card's just crazy. I was so shocked that I was the only person top 8 siding it. It's just how could you not play this card? This card literally carried me through more than one match. I mean, so many times in the tournament. It's a blowout. It's just game. It's literally Mirror of the Ice Barrier back in 2016 Burning Abyss, right? How can people not play it? It just doesn't make sense. So, but yeah, that's the deck.
Okay, sweet. I guess anything else in closing or?
The whole mountain.
Nice. Well, there you have it, Mount Fuji. Thank you for presenting this deck profile for the world, Bortle Nation. And if you're not a part of Bortle Nation, sub for Bortle. It's that easy and it's free. Oh God, yes.
Oh God, yes.